Okay, I think we're on. Hello, welcome. It's
Hi.
Tuesday, everybody. And I am joined once again. Our good friend Celeste decided to come back and do another stream with us. So we're very excited
Yes.
about that. Yeah, we got a lot of new books to talk about. I think, you're still pretty new to this. So we're just going to jump right into this. You will know, I always like to start the stream off with a facsimile book that comes out because these days it seems like Marvel and DC are publishing a whole lot of their old material.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I'm always excited when they put out an older book. So this is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 4. And we've talked about issues 1 through 3 as they've been coming out monthly. But I just want to highlight it again because there are people that don't realize that Marvel is reprinting the entire Secret Wars series, the entire 12 issue series this year, which this series originally came out in 1984. And this,
Wow.
yeah, I know it's so
It's older
old.
than me.
It's older than you, yeah. Nah, not older than me, but yeah, this it's a pretty monumental series because this series kind of established the giant epic event crossover that became what I would say now is just the standard at Marvel. Like every summer, they do like a new event, and there's always all the characters cross over and fight like a big thing, and
Yeah.
that all started in Secret Wars,
Oh, okay.
and
I didn't know that.
this was like the first one. So, and I talked about it in some of the previous issues, but the the way this series came about, since you don't know, I'll just give you a brief explanation. A toy company went to Marvel and said, "We want to make toys of your characters, so maybe you can do one comic book that has all the characters in it, and then we'll just make a toy of that." Like, so they made their first, like, one of their first big toy lines was just the Secret Wars toy line,
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
that's why it's a story that has Hulk, Captain America, Spider Man, Iron Man, She Hulk, a couple of the Fantastic Fours,
Hmm.
and then also all of the villains because it's just one big excuse to make toys to have a story with all the popular characters in it, so you can make toys of them. Wolverine,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've actually never read it because I always kind of blew it off as kind of a pointless, like it only exists to sell toys, and I'm not above enjoying things that only exist to sell toys. Anybody that's been watching the stream has heard me talk about GI Joe and Transformers comics. Like those are really good. But yeah, so I'm happy that Marvel's reprint. I mean, it's been in print for a long time, like as a collected edition, but it's pretty neat that they're just redoing all of the issues and just putting them out. It's neat to read it in the way that it was originally released, like one issue at a time, like every
Yeah.
month. So that's always fun. A couple of other things to quickly note: there's a couple of collected editions coming out that I'm yay facsimile. That's right, hooray! I am always excited about the facsimiles. A couple of collected editions coming out tomorrow. Local Man, volume, I believe this is volume 2.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
volume. I want to just get it. There we go. Volume 2. I have talked about this comic a lot. I love this comic.
Hmm.
One of my favorite superhero comics of the year, for sure. This issue collects. Oh man, this is the issue that has a crossover. So like talking about events that Secret Wars is. Local Man did this issue that was a '90s event, and so it takes place in Image '90s continuity, and these are all a bunch of characters that were published at Image Comics at the time.
Oh,
So you
that's
have
so cool.
Striker and Dynamo 5,
Boof.
Boof, yeah, uh, Street Angel, Fire Breather by Phil Hester. Yeah, just like really, really cool that they did that. And so I've talked about this book a lot every time. Hello, Serena. I've talked about this book every time that a new issue comes out. And if you, I mean, it certainly means something to if you were reading comics in the '90s, like if you're an old guy like me. But I think you can also really enjoy it because it doesn't feel like it's totally a retro book. Like it's not just done in the style to just mimic and copy old comic books. It's more like a tribute to them, and it does a good job of marrying like a current modern story to the older comics. It's just really really good. So if you have been if you're not reading the monthly books, if you're reading in trades, Volume 2 comes out tomorrow. Definitely check it out. Another collected edition that's coming out. Very excited. Doom Patrol, Unstoppable Doom Patrol.
Wow.
This was my other favorite superhero comic that came out last year. And our friend and coworker Abby also really loved this one.
Oh, nice.
I love Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol it's just like weird characters, like a chainsaw nun. She's a nun with chainsaws for hands.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The characters are great. The art is beautiful by Chris Burnham.
So is she like a squirrel?
She's like a little like
a purple,
like a squirrel. Yeah, basically. So Doom Patrol, I hate to have to like. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh.
I hate to have to sum it up so simply, but it's basically like DC's version of the X-Men, where all of the characters are just weird and odd.
Just weird.
Yeah, they're mostly really really weird. Like Peacemaker is in it. He's kind of the antagonist of this story arc. But yeah, you just have a lot of weird characters. You have Robot, who is a robot. His brain got put into the body of a robot.
Okay.
I don't know if are you familiar with the TV show that's on right now, the Doom Patrol show?
I am not.
So I think it's gone like 4 seasons, which
wow.
I should maybe get caught up with. I watched a couple of episodes and I thought it was pretty okay. Like it captured the spirit of Doom Patrol. I just don't watch a lot of TV. But this book, this particular Unstoppable Doom Patrol book, that collected edition coming out tomorrow. This came out last year, and I think it was a better X-Men book than any of the X-Men books that were coming out at the time. It's like classic superhero stuff. The weirdo superheroes have to go like find other weirdo superheroes to protect them from people that want to kill them. I mean, it's like straight up X-Men.
There's no one weirder than a purple squirrel girl.
Yeah,
that's.
And she has there's like one of the characters is literally just like a slug.
I'm sorry, a what now?
A slug, like.
I know what that word is.
Oh yeah, there he is. Like he's just like a purple alien slug creature. You can kind of see him there.
Oh, he has a cute little face.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, this book is great. It has an incredible ending. Like there's so many characters in it.
Oh wow.
There's just a big old Elephant Man. Flex Mentallo makes an appearance. That's a deep cut for people that like Flex Mentallo.
Wait, were those lions?
What were you looking at? Oh yeah.
What am I looking at?
That's the guy. I forget what his power is, but it's something to do with tigers.
Awesome.
This character, the Quiz, has every power that you can't think of. So the way you fight the Quiz is you just have to start naming superpowers, and by naming it, you take the power away from them.
Oh no, I would blank so hard.
Exactly, it's like that game Tapple.
Yeah. Like when the clock starts running, you're like, I don't know.
You just have to immediately just start listing every power you can think of, otherwise they'll just kill you. Just 3 max. So yeah, really, really fun book. I enjoy it quite a bit. Let's move on. Let's see something you want to talk about. What do you want to show off?
So keeping the trend with trades.
Trades, all right, good.
We have this one. It is God Fell, and so this is our main character, and she's this warrior.
Okay.
Very brute force woman.
Look at that. She's
strong
got a bloody axe.
Yeah, she loves fighting. She's like, it's what we're made to do. And I really like that her character throughout the whole book, she doesn't have an arc of like, I don't know, being nicer to humanity. She stays strong with her morals of like, nah, we just gotta kill everything.
Is she like a barbarian kind of a character?
Like a lot. And so yeah, she meets this girl, which is Neth, and they go traveling together just based off of they can help each other instead of like traveling alone. So they can take shifts and sleeping and whatnot just out of necessity. But it's reiterated time and time again that she's just like, oh no, I'm just using you. Like, I don't really care about you. You're just kind of here.
So they have kind of like a buddy cop toxic relationship.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Neth is very much an optimist, and she
Mhm.
sees the good in everyone. She's like, no, no, like I can tell, like you're being nice, and she's like, no, I'm not.
So they're like an odd couple.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to be careful about which
Oh.
pages
Oh
we
yeah.
show.
Don't
This is
don't show that whole chapter.
yeah, this is
But
a Vault comic, so it's very, very adult.
yeah. But the premise of it is she wants to get home to her family, and there's this being that fell from Earth, and it's humongous. And instead of going around it, they decide to
Go
go
ahead.
like through it. I can find the first image. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you
So
go.
there's like the feet of it. And they decide to go through, and then it's just a dungeon crawl through the
Okay.
body for most of the
That's pretty neat.
yeah, for
like
most of the
yeah.
trade. So that's nice. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. They're just fighting monsters the whole time, bickering and arguing. But yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. I didn't understand the premise of them like they're literally doing a dungeon crawl through like a god's dead body.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that's a good
little
premise.
bit of spice in there. I wouldn't say it's
Spicy
like a
book.
spicy book because none of the main characters are any like
It's just
yeah, it's
background
like-
flavor.
yeah, because they're just passing through. So
Yeah. Well, that looks pretty good. I mean, it's a Vault book, so I think they do pretty good work.
Yeah.
I like the art in this. Ben
Right?
Hennessy. It looks pretty like I don't know.
also,
It's just
I think
really
the writer
really
did
good.
a great job too. Oh yeah, so this giant being that fell to Earth.
Mhm.
There's speculations on what it is, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's God," and religions started forming around it. And a lot of people are like, "No, it's just a body."
Some space being.
Yeah, but everyone is fighting on the inside of the body for territory,
Uh-huh.
and to harvest the body because it helps grow crops and all this other stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just fighting nonstop on the inside.
Well, it looks pretty good. Let's see. What's another book you got here? You got
Ooh.
another. We got at least one more trade paperback we're going to talk about.
So
What is
we're
this
only
one?
like
Bad Dream?
a couple days late for Transvisibility Day,
Hmm.
but the main character, she is trans, and so in this world you have seers. They can see the future, and the power gets passed on from woman to woman in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it so cute because it gets passed to her, and because it has nothing to do with how she's born, but who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But there's a big issue with like everybody thought her sister, her older sister, was gonna get the power, and so when she starts getting it, she's like, oh, I'm not gonna tell my sister. I'm just gonna keep it hidden.
Who's this Kermit the Frog lady?
Oh yeah, it threw me for a loop when I first saw her. But yeah,
Okay.
she just appears.
So this is just a world with frog people in it?
Yeah, so it takes place on Earth, and the main character, her mom comes from another planet that got exploded, and she crash landed.
Ah.
Ooh, can I find the
Yeah,
image?
yeah.
But she crash landed on Earth, and that's how the mom and dad met. But oh yeah, here. So they
Okay.
met in a cornfield.
Oh, that's
which
yeah.
I find beautiful.
That's the Superman story.
Yeah, but
Crash landed in a cornfield.
yeah, so there's this place, Parthos. Parthos? I can't remember.
Parthos.
I only read the first chapter.
Parthos Panthers.
Oh yeah, so Parthos is like a nice little community just filled with aliens, refugees from
Okay.
other planets and things. So it's a common
So
place.
there is like a
Yeah,
sci-fi.
and humans know about these aliens. There's a lot of fighting going on, like on the news. Some people are taking the side of like, yeah, they're all just like landing here and we're doing nothing about it. We should kick them off.
How topical.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying that one. I only
Earth
got one
first.
chapter in, but yeah, I like it a lot.
Well, all right. I'm going to show off just a couple of books that I'm excited about, a couple of monthly issues. I always talk about Kea when it comes out. I really like this book.
Yeah.
Just good, kind of. I don't know what I would call this. I always struggle with this every time we talk about it. It's not strictly all ages, but it's like edgy all ages. It's the type of thing I would give to like a preteen for sure. Like there's nothing.
I see it in the same realm as like Demon Slayer. Like there's a lot of blood, a lot of fighting. But...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like kids would probably really enjoy it. I don't think there's anything they wouldn't really understand, but I understand parents maybe being a little cautious about just general imagery and violence, but there's certainly nothing too outrageous for like young teenagers.
Yeah.
It's just a like sci-fi fantasy adventure. I love the art. This is a great book. It's written and drawn by Wes Craig, and I like comics that have this singular vision behind them, and he does a great job with it. The character is really good. I like all the like different elements to it. I talk about it every time. There's robots, there's lizard people, there's animal people. It's just
I think
it's
they did
really
a great
cool.
job with world building.
Yeah. There's some good world building in it. Really good book. Yeah. Don't want to dwell on it too much. Another book that I know, I'm only mentioning it because I know people have been asking me about it. The Sacrificers #7 finally comes out. This book, it's been a few months behind. I don't know the whole story because I don't really do a whole lot of research into what we do here. But I've been reading this book since it came out, the first 6 issues. Then there was a break, but it started up again with issue 7. And I felt like, I think what I said at the time with issue 6 is it felt like it took a little too long to get to kind of like a big plot moment. But issue 6 was pretty good. And so now it feels like the story is really moving. I definitely, like more so than other Rick Remender books, this feels like something that you will enjoy more in trade paperback than in single issues because it's a pretty quick read. But I am enjoying it. I love the art especially. It's like a weird fantasy world where these people get sacrificed in order to basically just like maintain their quality of life on Earth to the gods because the gods take care of them. But then the big like reveal is that the gods are only using the sacrificed people to prolong their immortality. So like the gods grow old and die, but they have a machine that kills people and basically steals their essence and makes them. Yeah, so it's this whole thing of like people get sacrificed so that the gods can live forever, and humans don't really get what's going on. They just think that the gods are just being nice and taking care of them, and they don't understand that they're being preyed upon.
The gods look pretty friendly. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty friendly. But yeah, it's a good book. Looks great. This, I think the trade paperbacks, it's going to read really well. Like once a bigger chunk of it has come out. Let's see. What's another book you got that you want to talk about?
Ooh, we can talk about Deadpool.
Talk about Deadpool. Yeah. I had that one in my pile too.
Oh, nice.
That was at the bottom of my pile. So,
okay. Did you read it?
I did. I read the whole issue.
Wow, so, better than me. I read part of it.
I don't know if you know this about me, Celeste, and this isn't something that I like to brag about anymore. But I have read a lot of Deadpool comics.
Oh,
okay. I have
like.
I
4 boxes?
I have a long box full of Deadpool comics. I have his first appearance, like the original X-Force issue that he was in, or New Mutants, sorry. I don't want anybody challenging my cred. New Mutants 98. But I have his whole first, he had 2 miniseries. He had an ongoing series in the 90s. He had a second series where he teamed up with Cable. And that's about when I dipped out because that was like, I don't know, circa 2009, 10, 11, I don't remember. But that's when Marvel started making a million billion Deadpool comics. Like he was like appearing, this was before the movie even came out, but he was
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, this.
Ish.
I mean, the movie was like 16.
Oh wow, yeah.
But yeah, so Deadpool like blew up and became really, really popular. And they've been making a lot of books, a lot of Deadpool books since then, and I haven't been able to just keep up with them because it's too much. But
I read the last
series, yeah,
not Batter Blood, but the other one.
The Batter Blood is just a standalone mini series. Like it's not related to the ongoing series. But this one, this is the new #1. It's got a new creative team on it, as I understand it, from the previous series that ran last year. But Marvel's doing that thing that I dislike that they do is Deadpool essentially is just an ongoing series. It even just continues the story from last year.
Yeah, but I
like
it's a
new
ongoing series because then you get Princess.
No, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. Instead of, I don't remember how many issues they did last year, maybe 12. So instead of this being issue 13, it's now issue 1 of like volume 9, and
okay.
and
Yeah.
it's deceptive because it feels like, oh, it's a new book, but it's not really. It's issue 13 in an ongoing series. But I did read the whole thing. I'm definitely gonna stick to my no more Deadpool policy because I've got, some might say I have too many Deadpool comics because a little bit of Deadpool goes a long way.
Yeah. You
But-
could just buy the trade when it comes out.
I could always do that.
Yeah.
You read the previous series, so this. Let me tell me about this character because this character is new to me. This was not a character that existed when I was reading Deadpool.
Yeah. So that is his giant dog who is a symbiote, and her name is Princess, and she's so sweet and lovey. And my favorite panel in this series, again, I didn't read the whole thing, but and Kia would love this.
Oh, would he?
I sent him a photo.
Our good friend.
They made a Chainsaw Man reference.
I saw that. They even it's even like directly called out. Have you ever seen Chainsaw Man? And boom. So man, just reaching out to the kids with this one.
Yeah. See, that's why I love Deadpool, is because they can get so creative with everything and the storytelling and what they decide to put in it. Really, anything goes. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is certainly a Deadpool comic book.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. So you said you got the previous series. Are you planning on keeping up with this one?
Yeah.
New one?
I'll keep reading.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Then we'll be able to talk about the future issues, and I won't have to read them. So that's really good. What do you have here?
There's a lot of different variant arts, but this one was my favorite.
Oh, this is like a little bit of like a Spider-Punk thing going on there.
Yeah,
and then all the weapons. Yeah.
I just liked
the teddy bear. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked kind of the 3D aspects that
I was looking at that.
There's
kind of this illusion of perspective created with everything in the background kind of being, it's hard to see maybe in the camera, but it's a little fuzzy and blurred out, and then the teddy bear is in like sharp
kind of like 3D-ish, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, neat. Let's talk about another book that I've been reading, Shazam, issue 10. And I actually only bring this one up to mention that I wasn't sure if I was going to keep reading this because it's a new creative team. Kind of like, actually, in sharp contrast to the what we just talked about with Deadpool, is where they, like, a new creative team comes on, so they just restart it with a new #1 to try and get more people interested. Shazam did not do that. DC's been pretty pretty on it, I think, with their just how they're presenting their books. So I'm really happy that this just continues the series. It's just issue 10. It has a new creative team. It still follows the story that was set up by the previous team, but even still, it being a creative team, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep up with it because I really liked what Mark Waid was doing in the previous 9 issues. And to be perfectly frank, part of being a comic book collector is that your eyes are always bigger than your wallet, and so you're always looking for reasons to not read something. At least I am. I'm always just like, what can I cut? Like, what do I really not want to read anymore?
See, I'm just starting to cut back on everything, and I'll start buying the trades. That's where I'm at.
That's a safe. I think that's a safe middle ground. But I'm happy to report, maybe disappointed also. I enjoyed this issue quite a bit. It was really good. It's a lot of fun. I like that it's a self-contained story in the single issue that was pretty good, but it kind of teases some stuff happening later on, like for the future story arc.
So small.
Yeah, that's Zeus.
That makes sense. Okay.
He's the god, Greek god Zeus.
Yeah.
But I also like that they're kind of setting up this thing. I don't know what you know about Shazam, Celeste, Captain Marvel, as he used to be known back in the 1940s.
I know the movie. Does that count for
anything?
Yeah,
a little bit. Okay. Because there's kind of like there's 2 versions of Shazam. Because like Billy Batson is the character, and he turns into Captain Marvel / Shazam. And so the way they presented in the movie is that he becomes a superhero. So it's like Shazam is this adult superhero with Billy Batson's mind. He's like a little kid who grows up to become an adult. Mm-hmm. You sound like you're still bitter about the name change. You know what? I'm a little bitter, but I'm not as much bitter as I am just I don't know what the solution is. The the book, the character's name is Captain Marvel. It was for like 50 years, and then long story short, DC wasn't publishing any Captain Marvel's comics for a while, and Marvel started publishing their book Captain Marvel. They basically sniped the trademark out from under DC, and so that's why DC started publishing it. They started changing the name to Shazam, but the character was still known as Captain Marvel in the books, but they couldn't like trademark the title Captain Marvel because Marvel has it, and they've been using it ever since. They don't want DC to get it back. So like all the Captain Marvel movies, like all of that, the character, it used to be.
I had no idea any of that was going on.
It used to be Captain Marvel Comics, or it was Captain Marvel, like it was in Wiz Comics, like yeah, it was a whole thing.
Oh my god!
And so DC, not really knowing what to do, I think in the 2010s ish, somewhere in there, they officially changed the character's name to Shazam. So they just completely ditched the whole Captain Marvel thing, and now his name is Shazam. Okay. And that makes sense because that's a unique word. It is, and it's unique to the story. Like that's his magic word. He says the word Shazam, and he turns into Captain Marvel, who is now he turns into Shazam. Yeah. And but so one of the things that Mark Waid set up in this run, and he's kind of returning things. He's setting up ways to return it to the original version. So he's no longer calls himself Shazam in this. He calls himself the Captain. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of how they. Like he's the captain of the Shazam family because there's all these other different Shazam characters like Mary Marvel, because like it is like in the movie where they're all foster kids and they all turn into various versions of Shazam. But one of the things that they're establishing in this series, and Mark Waid set this up in the previous issues, is that the Captain Marvel, or I should say the Captain's persona, is starting to take over from Billy Batson when he's in his superhero form, because that's how the character used to be back in the original version. Was Billy Batson would turn into Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel was his own character. Like he was like Superman. It'd be like if a little kid turned into Superman. It wasn't Billy Batson's mind in an adult superhero body. It was like Captain Marvel was his own character. Okay. And so it was like he would switch places. Imagine. Yeah. So he says his magic word, and then Billy disappears, and Captain Marvel shows up.
So kind of like a Hulk situation, like it's
actually, very much. Okay. That's a good way to put it. Hulk is kind of his own persona. Yeah. Just speaking of Hulk, got Hulk on my shirt right now.
You won't like me when I'm angry.
But and so for a while now, probably because of the way it was in the movies, the character they've been leaning into just Billy Batson. It's his mind. He becomes the superhero. But in this new comic series, they're kind of playing with that, where they're setting things up where the Captain's kind of coming back, like he's exerting. He starts referring to himself as a different person than Billy Batson. Like he's referring to Billy in the third person, and it's I don't know, it's compelling, it's interesting, it feels like classic Captain Marvel Shazam to me. So I'm really enjoying it. I was looking forward to dropping this book so that I could have one less comic to buy monthly, but I'm probably going to stick with it for a while. The new creative team, which I guess I should say, it is. Let's get this. I guess the camera doesn't really pick up on it, but it's written by Jose Campbell and drawn by Emanuela Lupacchino and also Mike Norton, who is an artist that I am familiar with. He does an indie book called Battle Pug that is really good. So yeah,
tell me it's about a pug. Like a dog.
It's about people. It's about like barbarians riding giant pugs, like instead of horses. Better. Yeah. It's great. Nice. Yeah. So I enjoyed Shazam. So I'm happy and disappointed at the same time. All right, I've talked enough. What else do you want to talk about, Celeste?
Oh, Spirit World.
Yeah.
So I was collecting this one as single issues when it came out, and the trade finally came out. So I won't be buying this because I have all the.
Well, you already got it.
Yeah, I already have it. But I don't know how to pronounce their name. Xanth.
I would just say Xanth. Yeah.
Xanth. It's the problem with reading.
That is the problem with reading.
I pronounce everything wrong. Yeah. So it starts out where they're fighting with Batgirl and with John Constantine, and then Batgirl somehow goes into the spirit world. And so the rest of this is just their trip into the spirit world and all of that and how that entails. But our main character is Xanthi. They have this really cool power where they make origami and it comes to life. Like
Oh,
they
okay.
can create sort of anything.
Yeah, that's
and
fun.
Their favorite thing, like when they're in a fight, is they like to create their sword. If I can show it. I thought it was back here.
Mhm.
Kind of. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the greatest. I mean, I guess it's there on the cover.
Yeah,
But yeah, so they like
there's
to
a big
create their
sword there,
sword.
like a big Final Fantasy style sword.
Yeah, but I like it because they go into the spirit world and they meet up with people that they once knew, and a lot of backstory and memories start coming to light, and it's this whole other plot unfolds, even though they initially just went there to get Batgirl back. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. I like all of the art. It's so colorful and fun because they're in the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I appreciate, and they're constantly fighting demons. So yeah, really, really cool. Really great comic.
Yeah.
Highly suggested. Um,
It does look really good.
yeah.
This is something I've been saying for like since we started this stream, is that DC has really stepped up their game in the art department for just like the
Yeah.
average DC book looks pretty good, a lot better than the average Marvel book.
I like it. I like it a lot. Um, I keep trying to see if I can find a good image of the sword because the sword has like little pieces of the origami paper on it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is so cute. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
Well, they're just gonna have to read the book.
Yeah,
Just gonna have
gotta
to read
it
the book to
yourself.
find out for themselves.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about. There's a couple of different new #1 issues that came out. That are coming out tomorrow, I should say. I know there was a lot of attention on the new Ghost Machine books, and we actually have two #1s that come out tomorrow: Geiger #1 and Redcoat. These are new series by Jeff Johns. Geiger is drawn by Gary Frank. Redcoat is drawn by Brian Hitch. So he has just got great. This is like top veteran talent working on these books right now. I remember, so Geiger has had a few series come out before, or at least it had one. And this is something that Jeff Johns has been working on, and I think he's really making a big push to do more comics all kind of tied into this universe. I enjoyed this Geiger book more than I expected to. I'm not necessarily the world's biggest Jeff Johns fan. I think he is a really like good writer. I've just never been that interested in the stuff that he was writing, if that makes sense. Like he wrote a lot of DC stuff, and he was writing characters that I just didn't really care about. Like I wrote, never really been into Green Lantern and stuff like that. But this book is pretty good. It's a pretty basic post-apocalyptic western, and the main character is Geiger, and he's just known as he's like this radioactive man. He glows, and he's like looking for a cure because he wants to be normal again. He doesn't want to, like, everywhere he emits radiation. So like it's this weird thing where he's kind of this like a Clint Eastwood-esque man with no name superhero in the world, but also everybody hates and fears him because he's going to give them radiation poisoning and kill them. So he's very like a solitary man of the wasteland. It's good. And then this character finds him and says he thinks he can find a way to cure him. So they kind of team up to go on a quest. And meanwhile, there's like other characters hunting him because they want to use him for their own nefarious purposes. Yeah, pretty solid. Like if you haven't read any of the previous Geiger series, I think you could just jump into this and you'll enjoy it. Let's see. We have a comment here. Celeste. Celeste face while you're explaining Shazam.
I was bamboozled. Okay. There was a lot going on.
There is a lot. Another book coming out from Jeff Johns and Ghost Machine is Redcoat. I appreciated, admittedly, I saw both of these coming out the same week, and I was just like, can't you just like wait, like let people get into Geiger and then get into Redcoat? And so I thought, like, that's too much Jeff Johns. Like two Jeff Johns books in 1 week, that's too much. But I was pretty impressed with this book. The writing style is notably different from Geiger. Geiger is told very plainly, whereas this one, there's a lot of personality to it because it's a lot of first-person narration of this main character who is immortal. And so he's an immortal mercenary, and he fought for the British during the American Revolution. This issue tells his origin, where he stumbles upon some kind of demonic ritual.
Oh wow.
That's Ben Franklin on the table. And
Wow.
they're gonna like make Ben Franklin immortal, and this guy accidentally interrupts it, and he becomes immortal. And so he's very much kind of like a hapless rogue kind of a guy. Like he's a smart aleck. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's immortal, so he can get jobs as like a mercenary. And he every time he gets killed, he dies, but then he comes back to life like 24 hours later. So
What if he gets buried in that time?
that's in the issue. Like he gets
Oh.
killed and wakes up in a coffin, and
Oh
he
no.
has to like dig
Wait, was
himself
this
out.
still during the time period where they would put like a rope with a bell on it in case people woke back up? Do you know what I'm talking about? There
I
was,
do,
like,
yeah. Because it's possible that you might bury somebody that's not actually dead. They might have just
Yes.
had some kind of comatose thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a little after that, maybe,
Aw,
but who
bummer.
knows?
Sucks
They
for
don't
me.
really, Susie, to answer your actual legitimate question, why are they making Ben Franklin immortal? They don't go into that. It's left as a bit of a tease. They're going to develop that further, like what this cult is. But there is a setup where the land there's like, magic exists essentially, and there's talk about how George Washington and the Americans stole the magic from the Native Americans who previously inhabited the land. And so there's a lot of like mystery plot going on. But yeah, it's pretty good. And of course it's illustrated by Brian Hitch, so it just looks great. Really good detail, good facial expressions.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it's I again, I didn't really expect to like this book that much because again, like I'm not like a Jeff Johns hater. I've just not read a lot of his stuff that I was interested in. Both of these books were really good, and they're kind of exactly the type of thing, more of the type of thing I'm interested in than just like superhero books for DC. And I mean that as somebody who reads a lot of superhero books. We talk about them on the show a lot, but I'm much more interested in reading this type of like original content.
Yeah, me
And
too. See, I'm trying to stray away.
mhm.
I'll probably end up picking up this
I
Geiger.
think Geiger is
It's Western,
it's
man.
like a post-apocalyptic western.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Like very just in the very rooted in the genre, like atmospheric. I also like another thing I just want to point out that I think is really cool is they're doing this design thing for their covers where they all have this checkered thing going across the top,
Ooh.
and I appreciate that as just like a theme to so that you know like oh that's a Ghost Machine book, which is actually something that DC Comics used to do back in the 60s and 70s. All of their Superman books, like if it was a book in the Superman family, because they would make it wasn't just Superman. They had Action Comics, Adventure Comics, Superman, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen. Like there was a ton of Superman related books, and so like they would all have like the checkered thing on the top, and that's how you knew it was part of the Superman family. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing something like that. All right, we got one other book, at least one other book that I want to talk about, and it's a book I think you're also familiar with, Celeste. Deep
Yeah.
Cuts. This is probably my favorite book of the week, and there was some good books that came out this week, but I love this comic, Deep
Mhm.
Cuts. It's so good.
And you said that's the last one. I got so sad.
I know. It's a 6 issue series, and especially because there was a big break between issues 3 and 4, but then issues 4, 5, and 6 came out on a pretty steady monthly basis. So it feels like we waited forever for number 4, and now the series is already over. Like it's just like it happened so fast. But I really like this comic. Each issue has a different artist, and it's set in a different time frame. So this issue is set in 1977, and there's some callbacks to some of the previous issues because like the other stories took place in previous decades, and jazz musicians like all kind of know of each other, and so there's some nice references to previous characters in this series. I really like it. This is kind of an emotional read.
Mhm.
There's because like this issue itself is very kind of bittersweet. Like it's about a band going on a tour and they're trying to make it big, and they're on the verge of breaking up because one of the characters is going to quit because she's going to go solo, and she's got an offer from a record company to go solo. And meanwhile, the band leader is trying to reconnect with an older musician who just passed away before he had a chance to meet him. And
Yeah.
so it's a pretty emotionally charged issue, but it's just about just like the changing nature of art and how you can't control it, and you just it's I could probably talk forever about this
Yeah.
comic.
See, that's something
I
I
really love
appreciated
it.
through all of the comics. It was sort of heavier real world issues. I
Yeah.
think the last one, he was a drug addict
Yes.
and an
Mhm.
alcoholic. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I like that each issue. Oh man, got like an eyelash. I like that each issue is about just different characters. So you get like a different type of person that's into
Yeah.
jazz in different decades. You get all these different perspectives and different types of stories, but it's all tied together thematically through jazz, which
Mhm.
you know in and of itself is kind of feels very jazzy in and of itself because there's a lot of improvisation going on in jazz and a lot of
Gotta feel
disparate
jazzy.
elements that come together to create something whole.
Yeah.
I love this book. I can't talk about it enough. I really love this book, and I'm so like I don't want to say impressed. I'm so satisfied that you really enjoy it, Celeste, because it was a book I think I probably just randomly pushed on you.
Yeah, I think what got me was you're like, oh yeah, look, the covers connect. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna read that. Let
Yeah.
me see what it's about. And after I read it, I was like, oh, I'm buying this.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's just really good storytelling.
Yeah.
Really great stuff. All right, let's see. I know you got a few other books. That's everything that I wanted to talk about, but I know there's at least
Yeah.
one other book.
There's
So what do we have here?
this is Panya. And so
Anya.
I didn't realize at first, but when it first came out, I was collecting the single issues, and then I found out it's in the same world as Hellboy.
Hellboy, yeah.
Yeah, so
This
I
is
suggested
Mike
it
Mignola.
I suggested it to Brandon, but it takes place in ancient Egypt, so way before any of the Hellboy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this girl who inherits this power that she can't really control. So City kind of goes up, and then she goes on an adventure to find the light and find out, you know, more of what this power entails and how to control it. So it's a very, very nice story. I love the artwork. That's something I haven't read any of the Hellboy stuff, but I've been meaning to.
That's what I wanted to check to make sure, because this is not. So this is the Mummy's Curse. It's based on characters created by Mike Mignola, but it's not written or drawn by him. So this is art by Christopher Mitten, who I'm not familiar with, but it looks really good. But like, it's definitely something that fits with Hellboy, but it's very much not Mike Mignola's art style. It's written by Chris Robertson, who is an artist, or I mean a writer that I really enjoy. He's written several comics that are really good. I haven't read any of this peripheral stuff because I'm so far behind on my Hellboy reading, and I keep wanting to like sit down and do like just read the whole series from the beginning. But like he keeps coming out with new stuff. It's insane. But
we should have a Hellboy day.
We should. Everybody just sit down and read Hellboy
for the whole week. Just read Hellboy.
But yeah, so this is like the newest mini series that's in like the Hellboy universe.
And I'm gonna be honest, I picked it up because I saw that there was a cat in it, and I really like cats.
So, you know what? That's a good reason as any. Like, there we go. Like, there's a cat. Yeah.
There he is. It's just a little guy.
So did you read the whole thing? Did you really like it?
I did not. I read half of it, and I've just been sitting on the issues at home. I have a whole box of comics that I haven't gotten around to yet. But yeah, I was liking it a lot so far, and it was only, I think, a 4-issue, and I was like, oh, I can commit to a 4-issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, this trade, if I hadn't bought those, I would have ended up buying this. So.
I like that they also, I guess, let me put the camera back. I like that they put these out in these nice hardcovers.
Yes.
They look good on a shelf. So they're really good. Yeah, that's good. Well, you know, that's what happens when you become a comic book collector. You always have too many books to read. But they'll just put them in the pile and you'll get to them.
One day.
All right, we got one more book to talk about, and this is a book I almost talked about issue 1 of this when it came out, but I think I had a lot of stuff on the pile.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a chance to take a look at it.
Issue 1, so it's called The Last Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
And so here she is. She's in this little robot. What is it like?
It's like a mech suit.
Yeah, so it can drive around, but it can also walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's filled with water, and I think it in the beginning, yeah, it's telling her water toxicity, and so she has to go and find more water, so she doesn't die. But
So
she
it's like
has,
it's a mermaid inside of like an
Yeah.
inverted
and it's
diving bell suit
like this apocalypse
on a
future.
desert planet.
Yeah, like everything has been destroyed. I think at some point they see a bridge, and it could
Mhm.
possibly be the Golden Gate Bridge, but I don't know
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
there's a nice shot.
Yeah, and she has a little axolotl buddy with her, and that's what got me. Is the second issue came out, and it has a giant
So that's-
axolotl on the front.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you. So I am an old person. What is an axolotl?
It's a real animal.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
And-
talking about a Pokemon.
You're not the first person to tell me
Like
that.
legitimately,
Yeah,
I thought you were just
I
referring
think-
to a Pokemon.
I think they got popular because of Minecraft.
Okay.
They came out with an update that has little axolotls in them, but
Oh,
they're just
okay.
super cute, adorable creatures. If I can find another good image of them. Oh well, here
The cover of issue 2 came
this
out.
is issue 2.
This comes out tomorrow, issue 2.
Yeah,
and
so that's
they're-
exactly what they look like in real
Oh,
life.
okay. Wow.
Like,
They even
that's-
have like the little cute eyes and smiling
Yes, they're
and
adorable.
lips. They have lips.
Yeah, and if you go online, people that own axolotls on the tank, they'll draw like a little mustache and a hat.
They're
It's
huge
so
in
cute.
Japan. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a water newt.
But yeah, this was a pretty fast read.
It does look like there's not a lot of words, which
Yeah,
would
'cause
make Dan happy.
Yeah. Well, I can't read, so this is great for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But because she's only talking to her axolotl buddy, so there's not like a ton of dialogue that's going on, but the art style is so good. They take their time with it to show through everything, which I like. I really appreciate. So we'll see how this unfolds, because so
Mhm.
far not much has happened other than it's sort of world building at the moment.
Yeah. It looks really good. Like I like the art a lot.
He's just eating some worms. He's such a cute
So
little
smiley.
guy. He's just a little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This looks like another comic that will probably read really nicely, like in a nice hardcover collection. Like as you
Yeah.
can see, it's even an awkward, like it's not a normal sized comic book. Like it's this square format. But
So I'm gonna buy the trade when it comes out. But
yeah, it looks good. I saw some people talking about it when it came out. It's got a unique look, and that's enough to catch my eye. But like I said, I figured I'd check it out when issue 2 came out, and then I didn't have to because we got you here.
yay!
Hooray!
Anything
All
about
right.
axolotls, I will read. That's how you get me.
Right.
So he's just a little. It makes me so happy.
I got some goofiness going on in the background here. I don't approve of that.
Huh?
But Dan's mad because we made fun of him for not being able to read. But okay, I think that's it. I think we talked about everything I wanted to talk about. We talked about everything you wanted. Well, thanks again for being on the show, Celeste. I think you're going to be
welcome.
You're going to be the new permanent co-host because
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to have to read as much, so I like having somebody else here that can pick out a couple of books and read them.
Remember that day when I gave you like 3 books?
I
was like,
do
"Here,
remember that.
read
That was,
this."
and one of them was like a trade paperback. Yeah, that's why we're
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
works out.
that's good. That's good. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in and checking out the preview show. New comics come out tomorrow, and you know what Dan says. There's comics out there for everybody, so you should definitely come into Fantasy Books and Games, buy your new comics. But if you can't get them from us, you can get them from somewhere. All
Also,
right.
Really quick,
Oh,
Jezebel,
yes.
I do have an axolotl squishmallow.
Oh, okay, good.
And the little keychain that I put on my dad's truck keys that he does not appreciate. But-
Oh, wait, they're on your dad's truck keys?
yeah, he's like big macho man, and then there's this pink axolotl.
But he hasn't taken it off yet.
That is true.
Oh, all right. I think we're going. We got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Mm.
Great. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.